Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. This week in the Royal Corner, Heritage Foundation's visa harassment case ends in failure as Prince Harry's heavily redacted visa application papers are released to the public. As ever, Meghan Netflix series earns her brand $10 million in media impact value. King Charles ditched by Australian $5 banknote as First Nation peoples are represented on their currency. Ex-Bank of England Governor Mark Carney, now Canada's Prime Minister, how did that happen, meets King Charles and Keir Starmer after meeting Macron in Paris. Prince William will be visiting troops in Estonia on his first official overseas tour, minus the future Queen. Where is she? And King Charles is to produce a one-off Amazon documentary on the philosophy of harmony, as a second series is highly unlikely. All this and more on the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. Before I jump into this week's installment of the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, I would like to say thank you very much to all of the people who have become subscribers. I now have 510 subscribers and I'm aiming to get to 1,000. So please do share, like and comment, and also visit my website at deniseheadley.com where you can make a donation for this authentic and unique content delivered to you weekly via the notifications function when you subscribe. Right, over to this week's stories. Heritage Foundation visa harassment case against Prince Harry ends in failure as heavily redacted visa application papers are distributed to the public. So as to provide just a little context, the Heritage Foundation is a think tank, which means it's funded probably by USAID and God knows how many bits of dark money that you won't ever be able to find. But anyway, the Heritage Foundation filed a Freedom of Information request on the 8th of March 2023, seeking access to Prince Harry's US immigration records. Following the request, the foundation pursued legal action to obtain these records, leading to a federal judge's order for their release. This was also done on appeal. So basically they lost out, they took a second bite at the cherry, and then they got the opportunity to have it, the judge basically modified his ruling. The documents were unsealed on the 18th of March today, but they were heavily redacted, concealing Prince Harry's privacy. And the important thing before I delve into some of the detail about what happened is that there are no subsequent actions which will follow from this ruling. The publication of the heavily redacted visa information documentation is effectively the conclusion of the case. There's no further appeals, no further details that will be released. It's completely ended, which I think is a really important milestone for the couple, because it means they can draw a line in the sand under this type of, as far as I'm concerned, hateful, fueled harassment, which in my opinion is supported. I have no evidence of this, but as far as I'm concerned, these people are working for the establishment in this country. Why are they so interested in the couple? You've got the media hounding them at every opportunity, and suddenly a think tank in America is interested in Harry's visa application on the basis of public interest because he may have lied on that application. Please. So let me just give you my 2 pence on why I think it's been so heavily redacted. One of the reasons I think it was so heavily redacted is because of the nature of the immigration process. It's not all processed by one group of people, or should I say like one department. Much of the documents that would have been needed to be shared are effectively in the Department of Homeland Security as well as the State Department. And even if they'd produced everything, it still wouldn't have given a full picture. And this is one of the reasons why I don't think the FOI that the Heritage Foundation put together was honoured, or should I say given more credence legally. Also, what's important, certain elements of those documents are effectively exempt from disclosure under existing laws in America, because Congress already determined that certain types of records should not be released to the public. So they were never going to get all the details anyway. That's why I think this was a harassment case, a lawfare case about prodding the couple and keeping them on their toes in a way, in a very negative way. Because you're constantly having to deal with this type of harassment. If it isn't harassment from the British media, it's harassment via lawfare. It's harassment via denigration of their reputation and of their programs or what they're doing. Another reason that there was difficulty in this case for the Heritage Foundation is that district judges do not usually review visa decisions made by consular officers. And even if the court was able to compile and get all of these records, they wouldn't reveal the full reasoning behind those decisions because they are protected under specific principles. And that is not necessarily in the public interest. In the way in which the Heritage Foundation was arguing their position. So there are a number of reasons why legally their case to have his records revealed fell as far as the courts were concerned. However, they did give some credence to it, but they did provide those documents, but essentially everything was removed. So they met the request, but also still secured the prince's and security and his privacy. And I'm glad to see that. And as I'm saying in summary, given that there are no further court rulings and subsequent releases of redacted documents, there are no further court dates or pending actions relating to this matter, that means the case is closed.
Right.
Also, on the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner, as ever, Meghan earns her brand $10 million in media interest value. So if, like me, you're a keen watcher of stories in relation to the couple, you would have seen the hate script that has been taking place and the hate watching. So you effectively have hate articles trying to tear down As Ever Meghan, the program and its success. And then you have hate watching, where people just can't tear their retinas away from the screen and then they want to bleat about it like someone dragged them there to watch the show. You had the opportunity to leave. You didn't have to stay. No one called your name to go there, but they still watch and still complain. Now, this article that I have picked up from the Metro says, this is how the article's titled. First of all, they don't call the Duchess by the correct name. This individual, I think I can possibly call her sycophant of the week. Her name is Aisha Ikafar. I think I pronounced that incorrectly. My apologies. But she's written an article which says, Meghan Markle's Netflix flop actually made £10 million for her brand. So there's a juxtaposition for you. She's saying it's a flop, but yet she's earning £10 million for her brand. You know, it's either one or the other. Do make up your mind. So the article goes on to effectively trash the Duchess and trash her program. But then because nobody is going to read anything this individual reads, otherwise, if she doesn't put the Duchess's face on there, she then goes on to talk about the show and what the value of the show has been to Meghan and her brand. And she talks about this thing called MIV, media interest value, and how Meghan's show has created £10 million of media interest value for her brand. And what media interest value is a metric for analyzing quantitative and qualitative data to conclude the value of the media impact of an influencer's marketing actions on a brand. So basically, what this means in layman's terms is if you pin something on a particular individual and they have a high MIV metric, it's going to fly off the shelf. Yeah? Because people are interested in that individual, and what that individual likes, they like, and they also wish to purchase. And then there's the wait list. And As Ever Meghan has earned Meghan's brand a £10 million MIV value. During the show, she wore a Laura Pinner sweater, and the brand earned £1 million in MIV value. She just put it on. Jane Kane's cashmere boyfriend sweaters cameo earned her £497,000 in MIV value. Just so that we can be technical, the benefits of a high MIV value signals that your brand is highly influential, making you attractive to several key groups. Luxury, fashion brands, lifestyle brands may approach you for collaborations, partnerships, or sponsorship deals. Brand sponsors, companies looking for brand ambassadors, public relation firms may want you to represent them because your high MIVs means you have strong media traction. So how then does this translate into a flop? How does being in the top 10 of Netflix shows with 2.6 million viewers, for the first week translate into a flop? Does it sound like a flop when there's a waitlist for your jams? You already have a second series with a major network distributor, Netflix. And you also have a podcast coming out, Tales of the Founder. Does any of that sound like a flop? No. Moving along swiftly to this week's next story in the Royal Corner. Ex-Bank of England Governor Mark Carney, now Canada's Prime Minister, how did that happen, meets with King Charles and Keir Starmer after meeting with President Macron in Paris. Canada's new Prime Minister Mark Carney, who used to be the Bank of England Governor, rocks up and now is meeting with Keir Starmer and King Charles and President Macron. Just out of interest, how did you get the job? No one's ever heard of you out there, and suddenly the ex-banker of England is the Prime Minister of Canada. So now we've got another central banker running a country. Anyway, former Bank of England governor met King Charles, who is Canada's head of state, at Buckingham Palace, where Mr. Carney told the monarch they had much to catch up on. They've already met before because, like I said, he was the governor of the Bank of England, and he would obviously be briefing the king, the future king, on any policies that was going to affect their asset base. So they're old friends. He arrived in London from Paris, where he met French President Emmanuel Macron, and he said it was important to strengthen ties with reliable allies, especially since Mr. Trump wants to make Canada the 54th state. In a statement, Mr. Carney dismissed questions about allies not vocally supporting Canada as a sovereign nation, saying, "We don't need other countries to validate our sovereignty as we are sovereign." Really? We'll see what Mr. Trump has to say about that. Moving along swiftly, in the Royal Corner, King Charles ditched on Australian $5 note as First Nation peoples are represented on their currency. When I picked up on this article, I saw the headline in the Express. And the way they articulated it was that the royal family had been snubbed in a woke attempt to defy the royal family. And I said to myself, this is the height of cognitive dissonance. Just because the British establishment and the British media keep telling the story of how great the monarchy is, it doesn't mean that anybody and everybody believes it. And this is a clear case in Australia. Many countries in the Commonwealth, or who are ex-territories or were previously colonized, they no longer see the value of having the monarchy there as a, culturally valuable, sustainable in any way. It doesn't provide anything for the country. It's a reminder of a bloody and embittered past, and they want change. And every time that change is exercised by those people, what happens is it's actually articulated as woke, or as a snub, or as some way of defying the monarchy. It's always trying to create this edifice of greatness that should never be chipped away. The old Australian $5 note had a picture of the late Queen, but it's going to be redesigned to reflect Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's connection to the country and overturning of the terra nullius. The design should essentially, or is going to celebrate the land, the whole environment, and their ancestral connection to it. The Reserve Bank of Australia has now asked for submissions of artwork to honour the enduring emotional, spiritual, and physical connection of First Nation peoples to the land and the seas and the waters, not the pillagers, rapers, and basically degraders of environment for one's personal gain. We don't want that on the money anymore. That's what Australians are saying. Thank you and good night. Please do not return. Also in the Royal Corner, Prince William to visit troops in Estonia. Where is Kate? She won't be going. Why is that? The Prince of Wales will make his first visit to Estonia at the end of next week to meet British troops, providing a deterrent to Russian aggression in the region. That's a joke. The royal family's being politicised again. Prince William will travel in his role as Colonel-in-Chief of the Mercian Regiment to learn more about how British troops will be bolstering NATO's eastern flank, Kensington Palace said. British forces are deployed to Estonia and Poland under Operation Carbit, the UK's contribution to NATO efforts in the region and the Baltic Seas. Sources close to the role say this is an evolution of Prince William as a global statesman. Who are they fooling? A global statesman of what? Doing absolutely nothing. Him and his lazy wife. Where is she? She's not even going anywhere. Sources close to the prince say he's increasingly comfortable with his new role of soft diplomacy. Please. You're not in that job, okay? That's what people are telling you close to you who have to tell you things to make you feel better about yourself. Soft diplomacy. When did you get that title? You're an idle prince. You and your indolent wife. And we pay for you. Also in this week's Royal Corner, King Charles to do a one-off Amazon documentary, not Netflix, on the philosophy of harmony. I would be very interested to find out what the media interest value of this production will be. The King's Foundation revealed the collaboration, describing it as a landmark film. The King's Foundation is looking forward to working with Amazon on a one-off documentary to showcase His Majesty's philosophy of harmony and the work it has in turn inspired around the world to build sustainable communities and transform lives. These absolutely sickly titles of descriptions of their endeavours is tiresome and boring. The King's Foundation is celebrating 35 years, and it is headquarters in Dumfries House in East Ayrshire. I wonder if the King is also tapping the foundation for rent. The charity aims to promote the King's philosophy of harmony, which sees everything in nature as being interconnected, including ourselves, and advocates taking a holistic approach to the challenges facing the planet. Just out of interest, let's see how many people actually watch this show. What do you think the media interest value will be on him and his program? Maybe the clue is in the title, D. It's a one-off series. And finally, in this week's Royal Corner, King Charles and side chick turned Queen Camilla planned state visit to the Vatican to meet Pope Francis will go ahead despite the pontiff's ill health. The palace confirmed that King Charles has written privately to the pontiff since he was admitted to the hospital in February, and that the historic gathering is still scheduled to take place in Rome in early April. Outlining the details of the planned meeting, a spokesperson from Buckingham Palace said, on Tuesday the 8th of April, and clearly subject to Pope Francis's health, their majesties will visit the Holy See to join Pope Francis in celebrating the 25th Jubilee. So in short summary this week, Heritage Foundation visa harassment case of Harry flopped, and there's no second bite of the cherry, that's over. As ever, Meghan's series earned her $10 million in MIV value. Basically, anything she touches will fly off the shelf. King Charles gets ditched on the new Australian $5 note. They're taking submissions for First Nation peoples to be represented on the currency. Ex-Bank of England, Canada's new First Minister, Mark Carney, met the King and also met Keir Starmer. William is visiting the troops without Kate in Estonia. And Charles is making a one-off documentary because absolutely no one's going to want a second series of that. So thank you for listening this week to the Headley Highlight Show's Royal Corner. The Royal Corner is a feature of my weekly Friday night political talk show called The Headley Highlight Show. You can join and listen to it on X, previously Twitter, every Friday night at 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Buy me a coffee at my website or make a donation at deniseheadley.com. Subscribe and help me get to 5,000. How about, 5,000. Get me to 1,000 to begin with, but get me to 1,000 subscribers, okay? And let's keep this wicked content coming every week. Thank you so much, and cut!